make no mistake about it. When you hear this FUD coming out of China, it's all in an effort to, I think, manipulate the price. It's also an opportunity for the Chinese government to more centralize itself around their own digital currency, their own digital yuan. They don't want, to them, I guess it really undermines their authority. But at the end of the day, the Chinese government, of course, wants their own digital currency for tracking. They're a communist country. They are centralized. That's the heart of it. So again, for these prices to dip like that, it's just crazy. Michael Saylor weighed in on this. Here's what he thinks about this volatility and whether or not it's a concern. Bitcoin billionaire Michael Saylor, who, by the way, this weekend, in all of this craziness, MicroStrategy CEO bought more Bitcoin once again.
Obviously, you've been dead right on your predictions in terms of the movement of this cryptocurrency. But you do understand how much risk you're taking on here, don't you?
Well, the risk of holding dollars is you're losing 1% to 2% of your purchasing power per month with 100% certainty. So that's the position we got ourselves into with the monetary policy. I think it's pretty clear. If you've got a decentralized crypto asset network with more than 150 million holders, it's adding 2 million to 3 million people a week, running on tens, if not hundreds of thousands of computers in every jurisdiction in the world. There's something solid there. Bitcoin is an idea that's worked. It might have been risky 10 years ago, but how long do you have to watch something spread like an idea virus before you decide that maybe it's going to be around for a while?
Yeah, certainly it's what makes it attractive to folks such as yourself, the so-called Bitcoin bulls. It's also why it's getting increased scrutiny from governments, though, right? You've got the Fed taking a closer look at digital currency, the Treasury saying it's ratcheting up its scrutiny, especially on the tax front. Are these not risks for your company?
I think they're non-issues because when you have an inflationary environment, money decomposes into currency, which is the medium of exchange, and then store of value, which is the asset, which is the store of value. Bitcoin is an asset. It's regulated as an asset, taxed as an asset, designated as an asset. The government's, said nothing anywhere in the world. In China, in Iran, in Europe, in the U.S., people are holding this as assets. I think that the banks, their view is they don't want you to challenge a currency like the U.S. dollar, and they want you to pay taxes when you transfer your assets. So for the Treasury Department to say, if you transfer more than $10,000 of Bitcoin, and oh, by the way, you got to pay taxes when you transfer or sell it, that's a totally non-event because that's been the status quo with every asset in the country forever. This is just legitimizing Bitcoin as the apex asset, the best
in the world. So Michael Saylor sees that. He says, when we hear these mainstream media stories, it's all like an attempt to scare people. Like China's clamping down on this. You're going to have to pay $10,000 as a transfer. But again, that's what you do with real estate. That's what you already do with assets. It's, as he has said before, it's not a currency. And it shouldn't be treated as currency. And so just even the way she asked that question, like, isn't that a concern to your company? Like, you're invested so much in it. Isn't that, the Fed's going to crack down on this? In what way? They've said nothing about it. They've solidified their position. And even Fed Chair Jerome Powell in recent weeks has called it a great alternative to gold. As Natalie, said here on the show when she filled on Friday, she was talking about gold and we talk about, we don't even know how much gold there is, like in Fort Knox. Where is it? We don't know. We don't know. And we can mine more of it, but we don't know. But with Bitcoin, we know. We know exactly how much there is. And so the reason that this is, I think, maybe scary to some people, maybe scary to mainstream media, I don't know. I don't know if it's because they're billionaires that are run by the power on Wall Street, influence from institutional investors buying stock in Wall Street. And people look at crypto and they look at stock market and they wonder, like, well, what's better here as a store of value? Crypto, or I own paper assets in Tesla. And I have no control. I have nothing then. So again, we talk about these types of, it's what people deem and want to give value to. So in the same way gold is, right? We only deem gold valuable because we as humans have given it value. What about, I don't know. What about we could choose something else, right? I mean, we choose gold as a store of value because we think it rare, beautiful, it's malleable. We've been using it for thousands of years. And so we're still young in this process, but I think he's absolutely right that we still don't know, as a store of value against real estate, as a store of value against other assets, it's fantastic. And the amount of money that's been made on it in the past few years, nothing can even come close to it. So does he seem worried at all with these crazy price fluctuations over the past few days?
It's one. And I think it's good for the industry.
Is there a price at which that you would actually realize some of those unrealized gains in Bitcoin for your company?
My view, and I've said it, is Bitcoin is the apex property of the human race. If I had $1 billion and I buy a building in New York City, I can't move it. If I buy $1 billion of Apple stock, it has no tangible value outside of the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. I can't move it. I can't move sovereign debt around. Bitcoin, if you own $1 billion of Bitcoin, it's available to trade in any currency on any exchange anywhere in the world. I can move it to 1 million different counterparties, and I can take personal custody. And that makes it the highest form of property rights. There's no reason that makes it the least likely thing to be impaired. There's no CEO to screw it up, no board of directors to screw it up. The mayor of New York can't tax it. If the governor of California wants to put a property tax on it, Bitcoin can move to Wyoming, but your building can't move
Michael,
to Wyoming.
Just real quick before we end, and even the Chinese, who are once again, and that's why Bitcoin seems to be lower this morning, reiterating that call for a crackdown on Bitcoin mining, even that doesn't impact it?
No, because Bitcoin mining moves to the political jurisdictions that are most welcoming. And Kentucky and Texas would love to have Bitcoin mining. And Iceland and Norway needs Bitcoin mining. So it's an anti-fragile, decentralized system. The miners are going to move to where they can find the cheapest, cleanest energy and the jurisdiction where the political environment is most supportive. And that's what makes it such a brilliant creation.
Does he know what he's talking about or what? I mean, he puts his money where his mouth is, $2.5 billion in Bitcoin, and then doubles down on it even after last week's decline, jumps into it, and it bounces back, makes more money, then goes down this weekend, jumps in, spends more money. And he's been very vocal about these purchases, by the way. This is nothing new that he's holding, and he's not moving from it. And he thinks it's the ultimate store of value. And you just heard him there reiterate it once again. So all of this China FUD over the past few days is all of that. It's just FUD.